Okay, so now let's get started. First thing you need to do is print your pattern, of course. You'll want to open and print in Adobe and check to see that your scaling is set to none and that you're printing at actual size or 100%. Another thing to do is to do a test print. So you'll print one of the pages that have the pattern pieces on them and check that 1-inch square to make sure that it is measuring at an accurate 1-inch square. This just helps to ensure that all the pattern pieces print correctly before you go and print them all off, and it also helps to ensure that when you do construct the bag, everything goes together correctly and properly and you don't run into any issues. So again, you'll just print one page with the pattern piece and then check the 1-inch square. If everything is good and it measures accurately, you can continue printing. If it doesn't, you'll need to fix some of your printer settings. Another thing she gives is instructions for what pages to print and what pages not to print if you're not wanting to print all the pattern pieces. For example, if you're like me, you like to use a rotary cutter and a ruler for rectangles and squares. Kristen lists what pages to print and what not to print so that you can save on paper and your ink. Another thing before you get started is Kristen, as you're seeing on my table, I have this page. It's called Options, Options, Options. It's page 4. She lists 3 different options for 3 different styles of bags. You have option A, which is a crossbody bag. This helps keep your hands free. You have option B, which is a tote, so handles that you can carry the bag. And then you have option C, which is a combo of A and B. So you have both the handles and the crossbody strap. You'll want to make note of which one you're doing because when you're cutting, in the cutting instructions, she gives the measurements for both these items. So if you're only making option A, you only cut out the pattern pieces that have the A beside it. So you'll want to make a note of that. Another thing she has in the cutting chart is the instructions for cutting your straps. You can cut your handles, you can cut your handles 2 different lengths. So you'll want to make a note of what length you want to use. She also has measurements for hardware that you're going to use. So for example, I'm using this 1-inch hardware, so I need to cut my handles and my straps so that they fit in this hardware when I'm done. So she gives the measurements for using 1-inch hardware and she gives the measurements for using 1.5. So these are a couple of things that you want to take note of before you begin cutting all your stuff up, because the last thing you want to do is get all your pattern pieces and all your fabric cut up and then realize that you've cut the wrong items or you've cut too much. So make a note of that so that you do not cut more than you need. Once you're all set and you have all your pattern pieces printed, everything's taped together and you've decided which option you're going to make, how you're going to do your handles. If you are doing that, you get to cutting your fabric. So here is all my supplies are cut and ready to go, all my fabric, all my interfacing. I went ahead and did this because it saves time for the video. I figure we don't really need to see me doing that. So I've cut and prepped my zippers. I've cut all my fabric. One thing I like to do when I'm cutting, and I do highly recommend this, is labeling all your pattern pieces. So I've labeled it with the abbreviations that she gives in the pattern cutting instructions. You can label it with exactly what she calls it. I just like using these little abbreviations. So I just stick it to a piece of painter's tape and I just stick it there. Actually, my son helped label all these ones for me. He was very nice to help me out. The other thing I do, if it's on foam or say on the Shape Flex, I actually just physically go ahead and write on the backside what the pattern piece is. And you'll also notice I have marks. These are my center markings. I find doing them now just makes it easier for later when I'm constructing the bag to be able to line everything up. Same thing I did with my foam on my main lining panel. Again, I marked the center marks and I put a T so I know where the top and bottom is. This way here I orient the fabric the right way and I don't accidentally twist it and put the top where the side should be instead of at the side and not at the top. So that's something else I did. Another thing I did, because this bag does have so many options, I'm going to be actually making 2 bags during this video. So I'm doing this so that you can see all the different options and make sure that I don't leave anything out so that there is no questions later or how to do anything. I want to make sure I show you everything for this bag because, like I said, there are so many options. For example, the handles, how you want to do your handles, that's something else you want to take note of because she does have an option for doing the handles without the hardware. So I'm going to be showing you that. So when you see this fabric, when I'm making the bag, you're not losing your mind. I'm not playing tricks on you. It's a different fabric because it is going to be a different bag. So you're going to see that popping in and out of there. But majority of the video will be made with this Tula Pink fabric. And that is all. We are ready. So once you have everything cut, everything fused, you can go ahead and we'll get right into the sewing.